よいしょよいしょよいしょ、ちっちゃくしろ、ちっちゃくよし。はい、こんばんはちょっと早いですがね、ゲーム始めていこうと思います。いや、準備しようと思ってゲームを開いたら、なんか始める前にちょっと一言いいですかと言われたのでちょっと一旦ストップしてもう開きましたいや初めてですがやっていこうと思います。でも前にね一回開いて閉じたのだから、それかな、何もやらずに閉じたこと言われるかな今の時刻を入れてくださいみたいなのもあったんで、なんか時間関係あるのかな、やっていこうと思いますザ・スタンリー・パラボーウルトラデラックス。私その前のやつはやったことないので、やったことないよっていう風に、やったことありますかって聞かれたから、いいえって押しました始まる前にちょっと一言いいですか。ゲームを起動した時に2回ともちゃんと時計を設定してくれてありがとうございますどうも2回ともちゃんとしっかりと今の時刻を入れました。いや、そんなこと言ってくれるなんてありがとう。ほとんどの人はこのステップを真剣に捉えないのです。彼らはただ12時のままにして切り上げてしまうのです。でもあなたは実際に時間を合わせてくれましたし、私はそれに感謝しているんです。そんなの言われるの？なんか嬉しい。それってあなたがこの体験を大切にしてちゃんと注意を払ってくれているっていうことだと思うんです。あなたが合わせた時間が正しいかどうか知る術はないですけどね。そうだ、こうしましょうよ。あなたは協力的ですし、どうせだったら次にこのゲームを起動してこの画面が表示されたら、あなたの一番好きな時間を設定してください。どうぞセットしたい時間を好きに選んで。楽しい時間でなくても構いません。楽しいって言っちゃった違う。正しい時間でなくても構いませんよ。あなたがちゃんと協力してくれたからです。よし、じゃあそろそろゲームに戻りましょうか。いや、こんなこと言ってくれるなんて嬉しいです。ありがとう。音うるさいね音うるさいね。ちょっと待ってね。ただメインのナレーター音量、ミュージック音量、ミュージック。
This is the story of a man named
英語だけど、まあ、大きい方がいい。静かよりいい。よし、コントロール。ジャンプなんてあるの？3番コントロール。じゃあ、それではゲームを始めていこうと思います。楽しみだったのよ、ずっと。ありがたや。始めます。ローディング。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
ちょっと待って。マイク上げてなかった。ごめんね。セッティング、コントロール、違う。あれ、マウス感度がちょっと高いです。ないですか？ないな。いい音。マウス感度ないの？ない？コントローラーし、あ、これか。カメラ感度。オッケー。オッケーオッケー。おー、だいぶ移動もスムーズ。スルスル、ぬるぬる。なんだってこっから出るって言った？私、時間入れたけど、これ関係ないんだね、本当に。これはもう、今の時間なんですね。逆に出なかったらどうなるんだろう。出なかったら。あれ、ジャンプできないよ。ジャンプできるって書いてあったのにね。酔っちゃう、やめよう。ちょっと待ってみよう。ちょっと待ってみよう。部屋から出ないよ。私。427番出ないよ。出ろって言われたけどね。何も言われない？出ないよ。これでも買ってこれ出ないよ。あれ、ホラーゲームだったっけ？おっ、マウスカーソルどこに合わさってるか分かんないけど押せてる。いや、押せてるわけじゃないのか。何のボタンこれ。わかんない。まあ、いや、行きますか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
会議室。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
そうね、一生懸命探しましたよ。開かない。
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
ごめん。でももうちょっと触らせてね。クリアリングって大事だからさ。パソコン電源つきっぱでいく？普通。わかんない。というか、ごめんね、もう、移動がすごい早いんだけど。何？これコントロール？違うよ。めちゃめちゃ早いんですけど。オートウォーク。ほう。いや、これは変えれないのかな。
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
どこ触ってるんだってぐらいクリック音が。ぬるぬる動くよ。すごい。開かない。本当に誰もいない。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左ね。いや、行かないよ。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
うわ、汚な。掃除して、ここの人。広いな。広。これラウンジ。
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really
本当に
worth
価
it.
値がある。ね、価値あるよね。もうちょっといてもいいよね。よし。
At this point, Stanley's obsession
ス
with
タン
this
リーのこ
room
の変
bordered
態
on
する執
creepy
着は気味が
and
悪いほど
reflected poorly on
それ
his
は彼の
overall
人格を反映し
personality.
ていました。
It's
そのせいで
possible
みんなが
that
出て
this
きて
is
しまった
why
という可能性
everyone
もあり
left.
ます。それちょっと悪口じゃない悪口じゃない気味が悪いって言われたんだけど、いいじゃないの。
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue.
あれ座ったもん
When a long time had passed and there was no more, he
時間
decided
が
that the
切れ
game
あ、
was
こ
trying
ん
to
ばん
send
はい
him
ら
a
っし
message.
ゃいいらっしゃい。今ナレーターのこの人とね、ちょっとね、喧嘩してる喧嘩っていうのも変だけど、意地の勝負ですよ。早く行けって、早く行けって、ぬるぬる滑る、早く行けって。はい、出
But
ま
at
す。
last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his
仕
left
事へ
to
戻り
get
最
back
初
to
のドアの
business.
左側を選びました。最初のドアの左側？最初のドアの左側？
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door,
反
and
対側
got
のドア
back
まで
on
歩いて
track.
正しいルートへ戻りました。戻りません。押せる？押せた！やったね。ふふふふ。あ、
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the
オフィス
office.
に戻りたく
He
なかった。
wanted to wander
だから
about
それよりさ
and
らに
get
ルート
even
を外れてい
further
こう
off
と。
track. So now, in order to get
だ
back,
から
he
今
needed
戻
to
るた
go
めに彼は
from here it's
ここから左？
left.
こっちしか行けない。
Oh no, it's to the right. My mistake.
なんか迷ってるぞ。
No,
Nani?
not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
何
It's
よ。
clearly. Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
カンペ見てる、カンペ。カンペ見てるぞ。
Now let's see. We
この
went
人カンペ
down
見てる。
right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I've got it now. This story is
ストーリーは絶
absolutely,
対
definitely this way.
わお。本当に？本当にホラーゲームみたい。なんか見ちゃいけないものがあるんですけど、いいのかなこれ。何これ？
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your
頑張れ
eyes.
早くスタンリー目を閉じて。
Okay. We just have to get back to Oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
私、初めて15分だけ。15分でリスタートさせられたんだけど。はい。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
どういうことでしょう
Stanley
ね。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
どういうことでしょうね。どういうことでしょうね。 電気は消してこうね。変わらないよね。あれ？ああ。あれ？
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, no, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
私が選んでいいの？こっち行きたいけど行きたいけど行けないじゃん。ここ行かせてくれないじゃん。どの場所がいいかな。どれにしようかな。戻るじゃあこっちにしようかな。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
あ、こんばんはいらっしゃい。なんかホラーゲームみたいになってるけど、これホラーゲームじゃないよね。私、あれホラーゲームじゃないと思ってやり始めたんだけど。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
そうね、なんかループ物語みたいになってるよ。画面用意注意。あれ電源ついてない。あ、ついてた。切れない。切れた。ありがとう。ありがとうだけど、ちょっと待って、ホラゲですが、ホラゲじゃないから。ホラゲじゃないから。ホラゲじゃないよ。怖くないよ。これ脅かし要素ないはずだからね。ないはずだからね。いて。入れるならいて。
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
別の方法？なんかナレーターの人がね、ちょっと混乱してるのよ。信じていいよ、信じていいよ。信じていいはずよ。だって私これ怖くないと思って買ったやつなんだからね。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
本当？ストーリー来た？ストーリーから脱線して。いやー、違うと思います。
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
引き返す。いや今までのこの部屋は何だったのでしょう。ボロボロですね。うわー、見て。ホラーじゃないよ。
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all.
無駄にリアルだ。
Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
オフィスビルが舞台のはず。
Do you remember, Stanley?
覚えてないよ。
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Congratulations! 私の勝ち!
Yay! And it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations.
これは怖くないよ。
I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
これは怖くない。怖くないよ。ほら、見て。しっかりとナレーションに従っていくゲームだ。いやーね、面白いよ。 面白いよこれは。
All right, I've got a solution.
ホラーじゃないよ。
This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
この LINE に従っていけって言ってんだよね。分かったよ。今回は言ってあげるよ。あれあれあっちじゃないの？え？無視していい？無視していいかしら。そっち行くの？どっち行く？無視していこう。イエーイ。でも一緒か。無視していったところで一緒なのか。
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
もう何も突っ込まなくなった。突っ込まないよ。分かった。 LINE に沿っていけばいいのね。 LINE に沿っていくしかないのよね。ちょっとなんか変だけどね。
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. でもこれさ、言うこと聞きようがないよね。だっただっただっただった。いやもう壁どうやっていける？クエスチョン。いやもうありがたいね。もうやばいってこれ。これ壁に。ぐるぐるぐるぐるぐるぐるぐるぐる。たったらったら。はい、行きます。行きます。行きますから。行きますから。そんなね、曲流さなくていいよ。ぐちゃぐちゃすぎるでしょ。曲終わり。やば。もう広くない？ Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything. 見落とさないように。何かある？何か絶対何もないよね。絶対何もないよね。このシダ植物に何があるって言うんだい？私ナレーターの人に遊ばれてる？遊ばれてる？一応見てるけど。ほら見てるよ。ほら何か言うまで動かないぞ私。何か言うまで動かないからな。動かないよ。ほら早くなんか言え。なんか言ってくれ。なんか言ってよ。これシダだよね。ほらすごい細かく見るよ。ほらシダ以外にもなんか植わってそうだね。ねえおい
戻るぞ私。だったらったらだったったった。あ、扉。遊んでる、遊ばれてる。遊ばれてるよね、私。この無視するよ。え？
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
え？どうなってんのこれ？え、こっち？また同じとこ連れてかれてるんだけど。ねえ、ナレーターさん、行っちゃっていいのこれ？行くよ、私。行っていい？見ちゃいけないって言ってたのに。ほらほら。
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
おう。おう。これ大丈夫かしら？もうほんと何も言わなくなって。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
この方向性は、行ったことないね。行ってみようか。この道しか行けないんだけどね。
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
びっくりした。今ループしてるかと思った。
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
いやー、ちょっとずつなんか怪しげな雰囲気になってきたね。黄色の線がずっとついてくるよ。ぐるぐるぐるぐる。
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
1分間ぐるぐる歩く。
Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere.
ちょっと歩くの早いんですよ。
Which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
なんか、混乱エンド。
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Eh?
So, okay.
Okay.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
これホラーかもしれないこれホラーかもしれない。ちょっとスタンリー知るって
All of his co-workers were gone.
あ、また最初か
What
ら
did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ホラーゲーかもしれないホラーゲーホラーゲーこれホラーゲー
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
今回は従ってみようか。従ったらいい方向に行く？なんだろうな。従っても従わなくてもいい方向に行くかな。どうなんだろうな。スタンリー知るとか書いてあるとびっくりするって。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
勝手に動いたよあれ。いやこう読めないからあれだけど。開くんだ。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
かもしれない車は車運転する時のかもしれ運転だけしてください。
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
謎解きゲームっていう感じもする。今上に行けって言ったけど下に行くね。見てホラーだよホラー感満載だよ。素晴らしいね。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming!
夢だ!
This is all
こ
a
れは
dream.
全部夢なんだ.
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all.
Oh my
He thought to
god.
himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
ループしてる
So,
ね。
he imagined himself flying. and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself
Oi, 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 oi,
soaring
oi, oi,
through
oi.
space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not
ゴース
woken
トオブ
up.
がいっぱい飛んでいる。
How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
それはそうだ。
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
やっぱ壁にはまってたよね。Oh my God.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? And everything went
そしてすべ
black.
ては真っ暗になりました。いや、これ。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
マリエラという女の物語。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
いや、死体を置いたまま去らないでよ。お願いだから。これスタンリーでしょ。あ、戻ってきた。戻ってきた。いや、スタンリー。スタンリー。死んどるやん。死亡しとるやん。スタンリー。狂って死んじゃったよ。スタンリー。
All of his co-workers
あ、
were
また
gone.
同じ。
What could
は
it
い。
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
サンディ死んじゃったよ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
さっ
he
きちゃ
entered
んと
the door
左
on
の
his
扉行
left.
ったよ。もう一回左行くよ。今度こそね、平和なエンドをね、しようではないか。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
うわっ、壁の色変わりすぎじゃない？本当にこれ会社？わお開くんかい開くんかい。あ待ってねえ、かわいそうだよ。パンダに銃口を突きつけないでくれ。いや、まだ行かない。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
ちょっと待って、これ何のゲームだったっけ？ちょっと分かんなくなってきた。ちょっとヤバめではないですか？なんかバイオハザード思い出すね。バイオハザードとかアウトラストとかそこら辺思い出すね。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself. To question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
壊れたよ。壊れてないか。なんか火花散ってると壊れたっていうイメージがついてる。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロール施設。エスケープって書いてある。エスケープって書いてあるよ。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
修行の死を迎えるのです。よし、一回死のうか。一回死のう。
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around
ま
and
だ引
get
き
back
返
on
すチャンス
track.
があったのです。いや、まだいいよね。
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly
自ら
confront
己
his
の死に
death.
直面するのです。ダイブダイブダイブ。およ。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
あ、さよなら。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
あれされてないよされてないよ摩擦されてないよ。ちょっと待って、ナレーターの声変わったぞその高さはやばいよ、普通にして確かに確かに、ここにまず落ちてきたあの高さとここからの高さやばいよね。2階建てから落っこちて足、あー強いなスタンリー。ザ・スタンリー・パラボー。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Oh.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
あ、オフィスのレイアウトや、あ、飛ぶ棚。多分これ見てないぞ。オフィス。ボタンの音？そのボタンまだやってないぞ。クレジットだぞ。エンディング来ちゃったぞ。どっち行けばいいんだどっち行けばいいんだ。もう中真っ白の。ねえ。私、終わっちゃった全然何もやらずに終わっちゃった。え？What？ あ、なるほど。いや、見てないよ見てないよ。これ終わっちゃってるよ戻ろうではないか。戻れないか。戻ろう。シフトをしても走れない。扉がなくなってる。扉がなくなってるよ。ここどっか行く？私。それとも最初からやり直すっていうのが。もう一度始めるがありました。もう一度始めましょう。オッケー、突っ走ろう。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
気のせいか。なんか一瞬文字が見えたような。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
走れ走れ。スタンリー歩くの早いな。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
今度はいろんな部屋入ってみるか。わかんない。トイレ？読めない。トイレ。あっちっけだったもんね。もう開かない。上か下か真ん中か上。オッケー。上に行けって言われたんだから。あ、スタンリー待って、ナレーターの人歌ってる 歌ってるよ。どこまで上がるのこれ。どこまで上がっていくの？ええかすかに聞こえるえほらスターリー待って、これ聞くためだけのエレベーター？そんなことある？いやもうこっから鳴ってるのよなんか喋ってるんだけどさ、俺ただ歌だけだぞ。全然上に行ってないし歌だけだよ。ここが正解なのね、もう。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Two
2845.
はい
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
OK あんだけ押せって言われたらさ、押さなきゃならないやん押したよ、ちゃんと押したよ。2845あのエレベーター好きかもしれないスタンリーって
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
マインドコントロール施設。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
マインドコントロール施設ってすごくない？
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
47だったっけ ?4 なんちゃらが自分。そう、危ない施設だよね、ほんと。どれかわかんない。目がやられる。危ない施設よ、もう。何これ。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
ねえ、スタンリーパラボルってこういうゲームなのね。だったよ。
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
どこ?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy. Or sad, or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
なんかバイオ施設みたいなとこ来た。何するの？マインドコントロールスタなんちゃらオフライあ、番号マインドコントロールごめん、英語が読めなさすぎてね、何もできなかったよ。今5番っていう数字があったから1とかあるのかな。あるー。3はこれどうやって登るの？暗いよ。暗すぎる。見えないよ。あ、開いてない。あ、ステータスか。これ行かなきゃいけないのかな。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
インプット。淡い。英語よ。なんか端っこの方にチョロチョロ書いてあるけど。オフがいいのかオンがいいのかどっち？終わらせる方どっちですか？オフ？
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
終わった？
Yes.
彼は勝ったのです。
He had defeated the machine,
破壊して
unshackled himself from someone else's command.
誰かの支配。
Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers
同僚たちは
gone?
どこへ行ったの？
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon
あ
his
ー、
skin,
外に出た
the feeling of liberation,
ものすごく
the
自然
immense
豊か
possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
これは一つのエンドだ、エンドだね、待ってちょっとなんで戻ってきたのあれなんで戻ってきたの出たんじゃないのクリアしたじゃんクリアしたんじゃないの
All of his co-workers were gone.
ク
What
リ
could
ア
it
したん
mean?
じゃない
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
分かったよ、もう一度やるってんだな。今度は全部無視してやろう。俺左に逃げて
When
やろう。
Stanley came to a set of two
Yellow.
open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
ナ
left.
レーターの人がかわいそう。どこここ
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
何でも
years
クビにな
ago.
らなかったのが信じられません。およよよカードがいる。
Look, Stanley,
Oh.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make everyone... Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Chance
Give me a
on your side.
chance.
いけない。いやー、上から飛び降りただけですごいいい反応してくれる。ありがたいね。ね、面白いよね。ちゃんと翻訳のね、文字が見えるように全画面にしたからね。これをね。なんか、
Now
わ
listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
ブルードア。
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
ブルードア。
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
ブルードア。
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
頑張る頑張る。一
Tell
緒
you
に頑張
what,
るよ。
let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback.
新デザインに挑戦。
There we go.
Wow.
A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we
まだ
were
作って最中。
before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
ここ
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
え
Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try.
何も言ってないよ私。
Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
おうおうクリアタイムじゃないか。なるほど。もう一回行こう。
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
正直に答えたよ。よくわかんない。よくわかんないよ。私この数字見てもわかんないよ。5しかやんないよ。
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of the new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
まだ OK 言ってない。あ
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. And if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
あと待って私4時間これボタン押すのえどうすればいい私どうすればいいどうすればいい4時間プレイしろって言われたよこれを配信としてはどうかと思うがなんか言ってくるまでやってみるうるさいなうるさいなだいぶうるさいぞ可愛いけどさそんな火の方に歩かなくていいのにねどうしようマジで本当にこれやり続けないといけないのかしらどこまで行ったらチキンですいや失敗になるのが嫌だなどうしようって燃やしてみるいやでも集中力がどうたらって言われそうだなナレーションにナレーターさんに笑顔で突っ込んでくるじゃんシュールすぎこっち見てるんだよガン見私のことガン見してるのよこの赤ちゃんね炎の中にもうちょっとさ可愛いなんていうの泣いてる声じゃなくてさ笑ってキャッキャ言ってる方の声の方がいいなだいぶマジでどれくらいやればいいんだろうこれあーシュールだよこの絵はシュールだよどうしよう雑談する雑談配信にするかいあーこれは赤ちゃん 赤ちゃんお願いだからさ、止まってくれないかい。いやギエギエってもうなんなのよ。燃やしていいかお前赤ちゃん燃やしていいか、燃やしていい放送事故いやだってこれゲームがやらせてるのよ、私にやらせてるのよこのどうしろって。燃やしていい？なんか言われると思うけど。
You heartless
この血
bastard.
の涙もない野郎め。赤ちゃんが嫌いなの。いや嫌いじゃない、ずっとやってた
Because
じ
if
ゃ
it's the
ん。
latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm
だ
done.
ってな、
It's
いやもう
Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's
見
see.
てみよう、何があったっ
What
け
do we
な。
have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
なんだろう、お願いだから赤ちゃんを戻すっていうゲームはやめ。
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
何？
What's our backstory?
ゲーム変わ
What
っ
is
た
our
よ。
motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
警察？
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
外に向かい何があるかな。わーお、もうなんかゲーム変わったねどっかで見たことあるゲームだわ。あ、反対側から降りれるのもうさっきの赤ちゃんやりたくないよ。引っかかる。
Oh no. No, 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 it can't be.
何がダメ？
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
え？オープンワールドゲームでいいじゃない
What a close
の。
call.
走れば
Really
よかっ
wandered
た。
off into that thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any. Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game, preferably something with walls.
何の
Something
ゲー
with
ムやらせ
nice,
たいのよ、
big,
このゲームは。
insurmountable walls.
ちょっと何言ってるか分からなくなってきた。
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
お、隙間が、あ。わ？わ？
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be
What?
phenomenally impressed.
それま、そのそこまでの開発費用はなか
Okay,
った。
so what exactly do
で
we
も
do
なかっ
here?
たにしては
Let's
すごいよ。
see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall
Sports.
run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
わお。え、ボールだって。あ？イエーイ。ゴー。
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
Huh? Oh.
Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
え一人じゃなかったらね、一人なんだ私。スタンリー一人なんだ。スタンリーなんか急に変な世界連れてこら
Are
れ
you
てね。
enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time because guess what?
急にボール増やされてさ。
That's right.
あ、ボール
All
消え
little
た。
fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes.
私の言う
You
ことは
get to
絶
have
対なん
fun
です
when
よ
I。let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Hold on. What are you doing?
やっちゃった。
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I
もう
can't
フォロー
help
でき
you.
ますよ。助けられ
How
ない。
will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
どうやって戻るの？え？なんとなく落ちてきたら、え？あ！あ？あ？ホラーです。ナレーターさん、ナレーターさん。ナレーターさん。あ、明かりがついてる。あ、427番。だからなんか来ちゃいけないとこ来ちゃった。来ちゃいけない。あ、
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
なんか私やらかしちゃったみたいです。やらかしちゃったみたいです。穴に落ちて穴に落ちてさまよったら戻ってきました。戻ってきま戻ってきた。時間も変わらず戻ってきましたよ。
All of his co-workers
で
were
いなくな
gone.
ったね。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
いなくなったね。いなくなったね。
When Stanley came to
Hi,
a set of two
Mikimas.
open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
私これ
Perhaps he wanted to
終わり
stop
が
by
見え
the
ないぞ。
employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art.
もう一回のゲー
But,
ムの
but
とこ行
eager
き
to
たい
get
な
back。to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
もう一度あのゲームのところ行きたいな。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
One more,
years
one
ago.
more.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his
普通に
death.
死んだ
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
普通に死んだよぐっちゃって言った
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be.
ホラーゲー
Stanley
ムでしか
just
聞
needed
か
to
ないよ
get
う
to
な
the
音が
meeting
したよ
room,
今
and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
今一人ぼっちにならずに済んだのにとか言われたよねだいぶひどい音した
When
よ
Stanley
ね
came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
とても
Stanley
よ
knew
く
it
知っていま
perfectly
した
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
いやーこんな音すると思わない
Standing
じゃ
now in
ない
this incredible room, Stanley for the first time, but eager to get back to business, Stanley
One
took
more.
the first open door on his left.
ワンモアワンモアなんならあっちの奥行ったことないもんね
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he
あれも
wasn't
大丈夫
5
だろ
years
うね
ago.
でも落下注意って書いてあるもんねど
Look,
うしよう
Stanley, I think perhaps we've
Achika
gotten off on the
ka,
wrong
achika.
foot here. I'm not your enemy,
どっちがいい
really,
と
I'm
思う
not.
もう
I
一回
realize that
話し
investing
よ
your
うか
trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
よし
Really?
はいマ
I
ジ
was in the
です
middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you
Yes.
that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
ブルー
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know
Yeah,
so
もう一回あそ
badly
こ
what's
行き
out
たい
there? You
の。
want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've
死な
chosen?
ず
Well,
死なず
don't
って
let
いうの
me
か分かんないけ
stop
ど
you.
まだ同じね
You see?
同じね
There's
わ
nothing
かるよ
here.
ここわか
I
るよ
haven't even finished building this section of the
まだ
map
作ってないん
because
で
you
し
were
ょ
never supposed to be here in the first
赤ちゃん
place.
は後で燃やすから
Broken
ね
rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that?
You can
Because
jump.
I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before.
One more.
Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try.
何も考えて
Here,
ない
based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
見ずにレッツゴー
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting.
あっちになん
You
か道
wouldn't
が
mind taking a look at it,
いや
would
あ
you?
れが
Perfect.
さっき言っ
Let
た
me
場所か
boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice.
おいでおい
But
で
of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of
4時間も
play
プレイ
to
で
make
きないよ。
sure it's effective. Be sure to keep
で
notes
きる
on
と
your
きにちょっとやって
experience.
みようかな。ほら、おいでおいで赤ちゃん、おいでおいでおいでおいでおいでおいでおいでおいでおいでおいで。
You heartless bastard.
はーい。
Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
帰っちゃった。
Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll
あ
work.
オー
Let's
プン
give
ワー
it
ル
a
ドのや
shot.
つ走ってみるか。ダメダメって壁を立てる前に走ってみよう。
Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep
ちょっとこの
tower,
ゲームちょっ
perhaps
と
for
今
some
現
sort
状
of
違う
twisted
感じする
erotic
けど、
purpose.
これもね
Yes, that
一部
must
ゲ
be
ームなん
it.
で。
What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
オッケーオッケー。もう止まらず
No,
歩い
no,
てみ
no,
よう。
no, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
あ、ダメだ。
Oh,
ダメだ。
goodness, Stanley,
ダメ
what
だ
a close
な
call. You really
あ
wandered
の
off
壁
into
が
that,
立つ前に
that
出たかったの。
thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
ダメだな。ダメだな。
Okay,
Dame
I
na.
think this will be just the thing.
いけないか。いけないか。はい。サッカー。
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run
前回
around
落
in.
ちちゃった
There isn't
から
any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be
落ちないようにしよう。
phenomenally impressed.
次は落ちないよ。ボールちょうだい、ボー
Okay,
ル。
so what exactly do we do here? Let's see.
ボールちょうだい。
There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack.
するとここに立
Okay,
って
I'm
ると
seeing
落
that
ち
there's
る
a
可能性。
ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun.
なんて
We shall
楽しい
run the
から
bases and do
走
a
ってタッチダ
touchdown
ウンを一緒
together.
にしよ
Yes, I think surely we must. Okay,
う。
Stanley,
オッケー、ス
here's
タ
the
ンリ
ball.
ー。ほら、
Have
ボールで
fun.
楽しんで。あ、上から落ちてきてたのね。落ちないよ。あ、よいしょ、よいしょ。よいしょ。
Are you doing it? Are you
Yes.
winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a
Goal.
thought. And I realize I'm not a
But don't you need
sportsologist,
it,
but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
ファウル。
Yes. Oh, goodness, that really does feel amazing,
お
doesn't
素
it?
晴らしい。これは本
Stanley,
当
I'm
に。
like a child in a
お菓子屋さんに
confectionery
いる子
shop.
供みたい
I
です。
simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
もっとボールを。ちょっとボール多すぎるよ。これ何個か全部入れたりできるかな。関係ある。
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real
何
video
面白い
game?
これが本当
Well,
の
I
な
sure
んだ
hope
ろ
you're
うから。
having a good time because guess what? It's over.
終了。
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I am structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much, but who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
放置ナレーターさんがいなくなって私が落ちるのが正しかったのか。じゃあ落ちる。じゃあね。
Hold on. What are you doing?
なるほどね。じゃあ。
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
奈落に落ちちゃうのかな。あ、やっぱ落ちちゃうな。一緒だー。一緒だ。奈落に落ちておしまいだ。一緒だった。向きが違うだけだ。スタコラスタコラ。印象だった。なんだ。違うかと思ったのにな。これいろんなエンドがあるね。ちょっと。あ、戻った。
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
ずっと逆らい続けていけばどんだけ許してくれるかな、ナレーターさんナレーターさんどれだけ許してくれるかな。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
許
memo.
してね。私のやること全部許してね、ナレーターさん。あれ、こんな曲長っ。あれあれあれ、こんな道だったっけ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
覚えてないな。
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. Giddy, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
彼女は待っていますよ。
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
なんだいなんだい
you?
あ、スティ
Hold
の
on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on
新
here.
展開です。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
道がない。おはようございます。Why? Please why on your keyboard? Why?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
K を押してください。嫌です。E F G T Y J K.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
押さない、押さない、押さないもん。押さない、押さない、押さないよ。動く？あなた、動く？押さないよ。ねえ。なんか見えない壁がある。見えない壁がある。これ押さないと進まない？いや押したくない、押したくないよ、押したくないよ。そんなさ、そんなね、押したくない。ね嫌よね。今ね WASD は押してるよ。WASD は押してる。Z だけ押させないでください。まあ、つまらない男だって言われるんだからさ、スタンにね、ほら押さないでいるっていう。ねえ、押さないとダメ？押さないとダメ？ 1 分ぐらい押さずにいたらなんか変わる？ 10 分？ 1 時間？ 4 時間？その他もろもろ？なんならこの間にトイレ行っていい？お手洗い行っていいかしら？ねえ。でも進展しちゃったらさ、ナレーションさん喋っちゃうんだよね。だからね、お手洗い行けないの。別にね、お手洗い行かなくてもいいんだけど。ねえねえねえねえねえねえねえ。じゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃんじゃん 押さなきゃダメ。押さなきゃダメなのかねえ、押さなきゃダメなのか。 BGM もないの悲しいんですけど。なんかない？なんか別の選択用意してくださいよ。ねえ。ねえ。ねえ。Z 以外全部押した。あ、123は押してないけど。うわーねえ Z を押してくださいね。押して、あなたが押して、私押さないから。ほらあなたが押してねえねえ、ほらほら、スイッチのとこに手を置いとく。ほら 何にも言われない。押さなきゃいけない？それとも本当に1時間ぐらい待たなきゃ何にも言ってくれない？ちょっとねえねえねえねえだってつまらない人って言われるんだよ。押したらつまらない人、押さなかったら進まない。どういうこと？ねえ、私に選択させてよ。押さないっていう選択をさせてよ。別のボタンを押させてよ。いっぱい押してるのにいっぱい押してるのに。こにゃろう。ほらほらほらほら。いいはどうだ？いいの味はダメだダメだ、マジで全部のボタン押さなきゃダメ。 F1 とかなんかスクショットとか、スクリーンショットのボタンが分かった。これだ。スクリーンショットのボタンが分かった。ありがとう。覚えとくね。 F の12がスクリーンショットらしいです。覚えとくわ。今余計な余計なスクリーンショット撮っちゃったもういいよ、分かった。 Z 押す。はい。
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
テレビを見るために Z を押してください。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
ひどく興奮しました。少年たちと過ごすために C を押してください。少年たち？ねえ、なんかよくわかんないこと言い始めたよ。少年たち。
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
夕食の準備をするために Q を押してください。はい。
As he wandered through this fantasy
もう
world,
だんだんと
he
喋
began
り
to
できて
fill
る
it
よ。
with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
子供たちにお話を読み聞かせるために K を押してください。なんかよくわかんないことになってきてるなんだろう、なんかよくわからないわ。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
あなたの妻に愛を伝えるために G を押してください。妻？
But there is no
い
answer.
なくなった
How could
妻
there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same
Ari-
buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
あれあれれれれ戻って。
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button,
次の画
do
面は
not
あなたに
do
ボタンを押
it.
すように求めても押してはいけませんよ。分かった、押さない。押さないよ。押しちゃいけないんでしょ。でも押さないと進まないんでしょ、あなた。ねえ、押さないと進まないんでしょ。どうすればいい？押していいの？ 押したらどうなるの？押さない。もうまた押すなって言われ、押すなって言われたけどさ、押さないと進まない押さない。ラララララララララララ。押さないよ。押さないでくださいって言ったよね、ナレーターの人。気のせい？わからない。押していいの？押したい、押したい。めちゃめちゃ押したい。押したいよ。このキーボードの L の部分をここら辺をここら辺をいやーやだ、押させて。またなんか虚無な時間が続くのやだえい。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
何も質問しないために Z を押してください。
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
死んでください死んでくださいWhat? 苦悩です。悩む。めっちゃ悩むよこれ。このゲーム悩むよ。次は何すればいいんだ？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
また全部ニューコンテンツ
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
ニューコンテンツニューコンテンツだって。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
そうね。
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
ナレーションの人なんか変わった感じする。
Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds
変わってる。
I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
どういうこと？
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
やっぱこのナレーターの人好きだよ。でもちょっと慣れ親しんだ声ですね。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe mostly
まあまあ
tedious.
退屈で
It's
すよ
as
ね
if the...
なんていうかその
Oh,
ね
okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
真っ白えどういうこと
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
おジャンプジャンプジャンプジャンプ全部ジャンプしろってことなのかなと思ったんだけどあジャンプできなくなったジャンプできなくなった今後ジャンプしなきゃいけなくなるかなこれ
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
ジャンプだけだな
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else.
ニューコンテン
Let's
ツ
see
に
it.
対して
I'm ready for whatever it is.
だいぶだな何 Thank you for
That's it?
え
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
ジャン
You
プ
see,
して終わっただ
Stanley?
けかよ
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended. And I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
フレンドって言ってくれたあの回数でニューコンテンツクリアしなさいってこと待ってもう違う
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
どうやって行くの
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
何なんか別ゲームなんだけど別ゲームに来てるんだけど
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
何の話ですか何の話ですかっておかしいけど。私、やってないんだもん、前回。やってないんだもん。前回やってないです。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
オリジナル？いけなかったよ。およよよよよよ。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Serious room? いけないよ。戻るしかない。
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
なんか
Oh no. God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Steam の販売レビュー。
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
いや、面白くないって言われたんだ。へえ。面白いけどね、私このナレーターさん好きよ。雷嫌いよ、私。あ。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
スキップボタンを導入しよう。本当にスキップボタン。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, Surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
頑張れ私聞いてあげよう。あれ止まった？喋らなくなった。どうしろって？絶対ボタン押させるだけ？本当に？本当に？時計があるってことは何時までかはこれちゃんと1分進むのかな？いや進まないな。ただのカチカチ音だ。
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door, as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
スキップボタンを押さないで待っててくださいと言ってきましたね。どれぐらい待てばいいんだろうね。どれぐらい待てばいいんだろうね。なんならスキップボタンを押した後のエンドでも見てくるかい。やばいなこれ配信なんだよな。どうしようかななんか雑談でもするかい。雑談するかい。このドアを持ってくるであろうナレーターさんのために待ってあげるかい。それともスキップボタンを押しちゃうかい。シュールですよ、シュール。ほんとシュール。このね、スクリーンショットだけ撮っとこう。スクリーンショットだけ撮ってちょっと会話しようかな。いやでもな、もうね配信2時間やってるの。2時間割とシュールだよ。2時間ずっとね、オフィスの中走り回ったり、なんかよくわからんゲームの中に入ったり、 マインドコントロールルームとか入ったり、ちょっとこれすごいねこれそう2時間やってんだよねこれどれくらい待ったらさ来るかな。タタタンタタタンタタタタタンみたいな感じの曲流してくんないかな黄色い線追っかけてきたみたいにさ曲流してくれないかな。じゃじゃじゃじゃこのチクタクチクタクっていう音とかこういう音とかなんかちょっとね押したくなっちゃうのよね。ボタンスキップボタン押さないって押さないでねって言われたのにさ押したくなっちゃうんだよね。これが人間なのかしら。これが人間の考えることなのかしら魔女も同じです魔女も同じなの。考え方ほぼ一緒なの。ボタン押したくなっちゃうの。押すなって言われたら押したくなっちゃうの飲み物持ってこようかな。その間にナレーションの人がさ来たら教えて教えてって変だけど飲み物持ってこようかな。そう押すなよ押すなよ押す。よし押そう。押した方が時間が進む。えい
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's all...
真っ暗だ
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less.
あ、枯れてるよ。もっと枯れてた。あ、ナレーターさんがいなくなった。火災報知器？時計が落ちてる。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an...
ごめん、ごめん、ナレーターさん喋り出したと思ったら止まらなくてっていうごめん ごめん。
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
ああ、終わってる。
Is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never.
ああ、狂った狂った。大丈夫かナレーターさん。オーマイガー。扉がないからさ、外に出れないんだって。ねね、ちょっとあ、日が出てる。おう、素晴らしい植物が生えているわ。なんということでしょう。自然に帰っております。成田さん、あ、自然が壊れました。自然が壊れてしまいました。ダメですね。さっきの幸せな時間を。あ、何年経ったんだろうね。もうなんかいろいろダメっぽいよ。成田さん、ナレーターさん、あ、押せなくなった。あ砂漠になった。人類滅亡した。滅亡した。外出れたけど、外出れたけど出れたけどさ、これは慣れたさどうなったんだろう。出れたけどあ、戻ってきたちょっと待って、ナレーターさん生きてる？
All of his
あ、
co-workers
生きてる
were
生きてる。
gone.
ナレ
What
ータ
could
ーさん
it
生きて
mean?
る。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ナレーターさんは生きてるけど、ニューコンテンツ、すごい光がついてる。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
気づいたよ。うん、それは気づくよ、あれ。もう一度。あ、スキップされたわ。スキップされた。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
The Stanley Parable 2?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
スクリーンショット撮っとこ。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2 Now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
なんだあ、いっぱいいろんなロゴを探して
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
2が出
I
るかも。
figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
ところどころちょっとホラー的な要素があるよね。チューチューチューチューチュー。いやースクリーンショット撮るボタンが分かったから撮りやすくてしょうがない。
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Nani?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
ボタンのサイズTry it here.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button. Jim. Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again. Jim. Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Jim. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim ボタン遠ざかった。どこ行った？ジムどこ行った？ジムどこ行った？ジムどこ行った？いや、ジムボタン。いや、戻った方がいい？やることない？
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
エピロわお無限の穴フリー実績セッティングワールドチャンピオン何なんだここは開かない かないんかい。あ、
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
ジャンプの回数やっぱ決まってたみたい。やっぱ決まってたみたいだよ。嘘。そんなにジャンプしちゃった。わお。
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
なんかゲットした。6分の1個。ちょっと待って、別ゲーになってるって。別ゲーになりすぎだって。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th Birthday, step-niece it is.
わかりません。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
先に進むってどこによ？どこに？戻っていいのかな？これ戻るのかわかんないけど。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be?
スキップボタン欲しいです。スキップボタン欲しいです。
Give it a try.
スキップボタンください。抱きしめろって。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing
Help
despair,
me,
must
help me.
already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
バケツを
The
抱えて
benefits of
幸
the
せを
bucket
感
seem
じ
to
る
go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
バケツ抱えて何をしろっ
Does anyone
て。
give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
無限の穴があるって言ってたよね、確か。バケツ持ったまま歩いてる。もうわからないって。わからないよ。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right, infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
無限な穴はこれだけか。もう本当にやめてもよろしいでしょうか。やめてもよろしいでしょうか。なんかバケツ抱えたままなんか見てるんです。バケツを持ったままね、なんかやってるんですよ。あ、エグジットってあった。エグジットいけないじゃん。あ、いけるか。エグジット。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
あ、見た。全部見た。あ、全部見たからこのバケツもいらないよ。投げさせてくれ。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
ね2やることになるのかな。それだったらちょっと別の日にやることにします。だいぶね30分ぐらい割とね疲れちゃったはいということでね今回はこれくらいにして本当にできるって書いてもうやばいです。本当にできそうですのでね次回ねこれ単発かと思ったら意外と終わらなかったので次回ねやろうと思います。はいよかったらねまた来てくれたら嬉しいです。はいこれぐらいにして終わります。はい次回のねソロ配信の時に見に来てくださいはいお疲れ様でした。付き合ってくれてありがとうございました。2時間半お疲れ様でしたそれじゃまたね お疲れ様でした。